Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Concerts That Made Us. I'm your host Brian, and Happy New Year. I hope you all had a great time over the holidays. Now, I thought I'd do something a little bit different at the start of this episode. Instead of boring you with the usual where to find us and stuff you already know, I thought I'd give you a bit of music trivia. So, which rock star often gets fans asking them to cut them or put cigarettes out in their faces? And has even had one fan ask them to sign their scrotum. Crazy, I know. So tune back in next week to hear the answer. Now, my guest this week is the brilliant Danny Nono from Big Eleanor Records. I know you're going to really enjoy this episode. So, without further ado, let's get on with the show. Danny Nono, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Yeah, thank you for spending your Tuesday afternoon with me.
That's no problem.
Appreciate it.
There's probably nothing I can think I'd rather be doing anyway than spending a chatting with you.
Same.
So you're a musician and you have your own record label, Big Eleanor Records. Before we get into it though, we just heard your song Back on My Bullshit. Would you like to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, back on my bullshit. No more appropriate way to start off what we got going on here. That's all I gotta say.
Right. Okay. So tell me a bit about your yourself as a musician? How did you get into music? What interested you?
Yeah, definitely. So I guess just at a young age, music as an art form always kind of connected to me. Um, and then just as I got a little bit older, I somehow found out I had the ability to play the drums. I don't really ever consider myself a drummer. I just have always considered myself someone who uses drums as just the ability to get art out, to get feeling out, to get emotion out. So I found out I had that capability kind of at a young age. So as soon as high school hit, me and just any like-minded friends just kind of formed together and we started playing music together as soon as we could. Um, yeah, so just even before that, just music as an art form has always been more what I took in from as early as possible. Like I appreciate, physical art. I appreciate dance. I appreciate, the drawing and painting and any other form of art that there is, the literature and all that. But for some reason, music has always
Appealed to
stuck
you.
to me. Yeah, and has been my ability as well.
When you say you found out you had the ability, was it a natural sort of thing? You just sat down at a set of drums and start playing, and you were good at them.
Basically, yeah, I guess just I don't know. I always kind of knew I had this creative mind and was just kind of always like wandering around in the world. And even at a young age, I was like, all right, I got this creative mind, but I still don't know how or why. And then I just happened to definitely, I just sat down at a drum set. For some reason, being an entertainer always kind of stuck with me. I just remember at a young age being musician, a comedian, just something that is like, I don't know, just someone I always felt like I
Performing.
could come out and kind of not maybe represent the people who didn't have the ability to be out in the fit. Just I always felt kind of a connection to people who do entertainment and things like that. So one time I just literally physically approached a drum set that was just in front of me, and I sat down and just like held a beat more than the average person would their first time. And I was like, okay, let me maneuver my parents into buying me one of these, and then it just kind of developed from there.
Yeah, yeah. Did the creative talent, so to speak, come from your parents? Were they creative people?
So I like to think that yeah, yes and no. So my father, he was in the Marines. He was kind of, a 9 to 5, always a 9 to 5, just go and do what is needed to be done kind of mindset. So I feel like I absorbed that in. Um, but my mom, who I consider is in one of the most underrated and underappreciated forms of art, and it's not even considered a form of art. So my mom is an elementary school teacher, and I consider that to be one of the most overlooked art forms. So I don't know if that relates to it. Like none of them are in like making music, none of them. But my mom being an elementary school teacher, I started to appreciate that more of an art form recently. And I feel like, oh, I picked up a lot of my approach from how she approaches a school year or a student or something like that.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Now, I've never heard a teacher being described as creative or an artist, so to speak. But when you really think about it, there is a lot of creativity that goes into teaching.
There's the creativity, there's the passion, and you got to have the day to day thinking as well as the forward thinking. Not many jobs require you to do day to day thinking and long term thinking, couple month thinking at the same time. So, yeah, I definitely, yeah, teaching overlooked art form and definitely draw a lot of inspirations from the teachers who are in it for the real reason out there.
Yeah, yeah, and they seem to be getting harder to come by, the teachers that are in it for the love of teaching nowadays. But as a kid, then, who were you listening to? Was there any artists that made you think, God, I just want to be like them?
Yes, and I still I still form, if you take a step back, I will still form a basic my musical approach when I'm actually playing the drums is from the start, if you want to look at the most basic of bands or like, the most out upfront rock bands before you get to like the obscure shit and shit. I just like to still to this day, I'm a mixture of the Ramones and Rush. So from the first time I heard both of those bands, I was like, okay, something about both of these bands connect with me. They're literally on polar opposites of musical approach, but I like to fasten myself somewhere in the middle, and it's always kind of been like that.
Yeah, yeah, they're two good ones, all right. They're not ones you'd hear often when people talk about influences. Maybe the Ramones, but not so much Rush. They don't come up too often.
Not so much anymore. I feel like we're also at the stage where people who are making music now aren't looking to the 70s so much anymore, where people at some point stop looking to the 60s, where people, so I think we're at that point where the 70s is just too old to some, like, not to some people, but as an influence it might be considered just too outdated at this point. So I feel like
Yeah,
that might be why too.
yeah, it's like the younger generation nowadays, it's just not cool enough for them or something. But like the 60s and 70s are the coolest decades that there has been, you know?
I mean, as far as rock stars go, like, they were legitimate rock stars who were doing legitimate, like, occult shit, and, like, like, get into like the crazy shit of what you
Yeah.
think of a rock star should be doing, like the 70s, even the 80s. I mean, the hair metal was like that too. Um, but not so much anymore. And I feel like there is the disconnect because the 70s was bringing like the motherfuckers who were like literally doing satanic shit and doing like crazy shit with groupies and all that shit. Like,
Yeah. Speaking of that, actually, it's funny you bring it up. It's not so much great music, but I watched that movie, The Dirt, last night about Motley Crue. Holy
okay.
shit, those guys, when you say rock star, like they really got up to some crazy shit along the way, you know?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I've listened to an audiobook. I consume my literature via audiobook. Um, so I listened to an audiobook about just like the 80s scene from like the start to the finish. It had, like, instead of like one narrator, it had like different people saying different things throughout. So it was like the singer from Rat talking about this and this guy talking about that. So, and yeah, Motley Crue, all of them, like all of the early 80s, it was like crazy DIY. They would have like the chicks who, like, they had no money. They would just like get all these crazy chicks who loved them, and they would be the ones who would feed them and make their costumes, and like it would be like shit made in a basement. And yeah, they would be on some crazy shit. Yeah, all of them like early 80s bands were on some like real fucking intense, like they got down. To
Yeah,
say the least, they got
yeah.
down.
Exactly, exactly. I was actually reading something the other day though that was saying 70s and 80s, well, the 60s and 70s gave birth to the rock star, and the 80s was like the golden age of rock stars. But now we're in the age now where rock stars are dying. You know, the whole image of being a rock star is going away. Nobody wants to be a rock star anymore. You know, it's a weird time we're living in, I suppose, when it comes to rock stars and music.
I think because people are afraid to be labeled doing something incorrectly. Like, if a band's just like coming out like, oh, I trashed 7 hotels in a row, everyone would just be like, yo, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you doing that shit? Where like in the 70s, it was like, yo, these guys are fucking crazy. Whoa. Now people are like, kind of, it's such old news that, like, I feel like the biggest rock star move now, and it seems like in the public eyes, to like do as much charity work as possible. It's like, damn, these guys are killing it as rock stars. They doing it to eat charity. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah,
cool. Like, I'm not mad about it, but I feel like it just, that shit's like
completely
old
flip
news, to
flopped.
where it's like, yeah, you do that shit. If you destroy a fucking hotel toilet, everyone's gonna be like, okay, boomer, like, what do you like? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. What I have to ask, what sort of rock star do you aspire to be? So since we're on the topic.
Oh, okay. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be one of those, maybe not even rock star, but musician or artist as a whole, that people won't know what I'm doing until years after the fact. So I'm not going to be someone who is like in the public eye, like, oh, this guy did this crazy. So I might do something that is eye catching or something that's like attention grabbing, but I'm not going to be like the guy who's like in the news or always in the eye. It's going to be like, after a year or two, you're going to, like, one of your friends are going to be like, oh, do you ever hear of this kid? And then they're going to look and be like, oh, his resume is ridiculous. So basically, a lot of people who I'm aspiring to kind of follow suit on aren't really in the rock game as much. People like MF Doom, people like LP. I'm looking at the early 2000s, like backpack rap area, quote unquote backpack. I use that term broadly. I don't really like it too much, but it is very understandable term. The early 2000s underground rap scene and just kind of how they approach things was so dusty and so for the love of it that basically you take anyone from that, like the ASAP Rock and the, like I said, the Dooms and the any of the groups that LP worked with and Definitive Junks as a label and stuff like that. So it's more of, oh, I didn't even know this person existed. How did I miss out on this person? Because look how much cool shit they've done when I wasn't looking at them, type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like from a consumer's point of view, that's kind of like gold for us because at that stage, there's so much of a back catalog that you can get into instead of just, jumping on board when they're just coming out and waiting for releases. Whereas if you've been working away in the shadows all this time, then people get into you. There's this massive back catalog that people can just sink their teeth into. It's a perfect way to approach it.
It's fun as a consumer. I that happened to me a lot lately because I'm getting into a little bit more new. Like right now, I'm in a couple artists I've never really listened to too much before. So it's like, oh, I never listened to them. Let me start checking them out now. Holy shit, there's like 3 years worth of work, 5 years worth of work. Oh my God, the shit that came out 4 years ago is amazing. Like I love when that shit happens.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll get back to your music. So what was the next step then? Was it in high school, obviously joining high school bands, was it? What way did it go?
Yeah, so me and a couple like-minded, people that just kind of also enjoyed making music. We got together, we made, we just got in our friend's basement, make some music. It wasn't anything, it never got anything like too serious in the sense of like, like lyrical content. We weren't putting out songs that were like earth shattering, like wouldn't make you change your perception or anything like that. It was like literally ninth, 10th graders like getting together, making like fast punk rock songs about bullshit. No big deal. But what we did end up doing, which I didn't even realize is we were booking a lot of shows. We were playing a lot of shows. It was a time around here where there was a lot of like underground DIY shows at like bar, like not bars, but like just places where you'd go in, like VFWs and places you'd go in, you'd say, hey, can I rent this place for the evening? They say yes. You say okay, and you just set up shop. It's just like a fire hall or just a big open arena, like a big open cafeteria or something like that. And you're just like, yo. So what we were doing is we were basically putting on shows as ninth graders, as 10th graders, hitting up all these bands that were actually pretty big throughout Lancaster, and just like playing shows, making connections. And then we ended up playing like a couple stages that were like quote unquote a big deal in Lancaster and stuff like that. And we all were just like kids, just like fucking around, and it was fun. And I think back and I'm like, yes, I feel like I took what I needed to that, which is like, okay, I literally booked a show with another ninth grader when I was in ninth grade. I can do anything now. Now that I'm an adult, I can do anything I fucking want to do. So throughout high school, it's just like literally making these like punk rock songs that are just like, 2-minute punk rockers, and then going out and trying to play, having our parents drive us to shows and shit that are all just like local. And then obviously at the end of high school, that shit just like deteriorizes and people just have to like maneuver through what they do. So I myself just, I moved in, I just kind of chilled at my parents and moved into a living situation where I couldn't play the drums. So for a couple years, it was all just like me waiting, me saying, "Oh my God, as soon as we move to a place where I can get my drum set, I'm ready." So I just kind of waited a couple years after high school, just kind of working random jobs and hanging out. Like it was no big deal, 21, it's not like you're rushing to make music. You're just like, yo, I'm trying to fucking drink Ciroc with the boys and smoke weed. And so it was just like
Yeah.
chilling for a couple years. And then I moved to a house or a living situation where I had my drum set and I was like, okay, go time. I know a couple dope fucking songwriters that were my friends growing up. I want to make as much music with these guys as possible. So I just, after a couple years, this is probably like, 2017, 2018, I just put my head down. I was like, yo, guys, whoever's serious about making music, I have a drum set, I have a basement, let's start writing. And just kind of started writing after like transitioning, like I said, from the high school, just doing bullshit to chilling for a minute to now I just have my own living situation where it's like I am the one in control of what comes out. I'm the one in control of if music comes out. If it doesn't, I'm the reason why.
Yeah, yeah. Was your focus solely on the drums for yourself, or did you want to write songs? Was there any other instruments you wanted to try as well?
It's tough. Obviously, I fucking love the drums. I'm glad that that was my like given ability because I love just like I just am an energetic motherfucker. So like the fact that I can play the drums, which is just an instrument you can't turn down, it's always loud. Like I fucking love it. So no, one, I embrace the drums. Um, and until I master the drums as a craft, I can't, I mean, I'm not going to take more stuff on. So it basically, I just wanted to be on the drums. I knew a bunch of people who could play guitar, and it's basically, hey, you play guitar. Guess what? You got to play bass too, because it's and like that type of mindset. But until I mastered the drums, and honestly, my goal is not to end as a drummer or end as playing the instrument, like an instrument physically. My goal is to end as running the label, being a creative, spending my time connecting and building relationships with people because that is actually what gives me the most joy.
Perfect segue. I was just about to ask you, at what point then did you get to the stage where you wanted to start the label? Was it a case of the music wasn't enough, or did you realize that you'd have more ability or a better way to get your music out there if you started the label?
Yeah, so a couple different reasons made me go the quote unquote label route. Um, One, I just enjoy doing all of this stuff anyway, like making the music, physically playing the drums, mentally writing the drum parts. If I only did that in the process, then I would only be there for 10% of the whole process from start to finish. So I was just like, yo, I love trying to tie whole projects together. I love taking the vibe of all this stuff. So I started writing music with people, and the first guy I wrote with, his name's Will. Will Leff, I'll say his last name because I got so much respect for this guy. We wrote a project together, and he has been so just his approach has been so respectful or so like respected by me. His approach to music, his approach to the pureness of the craft, and not letting any bullshit get in the way of the pureness of the craft. And he not only played in bands and did these tours and whatever, he had a quote unquote label that like did all this other stuff. And I was like, okay, I really respect what this guy's doing. I want to just connect with what he's doing and say, let me like help work with your label, whatever.
Hmm.
At that time, it just there wasn't the motivation behind the people working behind this label or behind this idea. So I was just like, okay, these people aren't even really moving a conversation along. No big deal. Let me just go back to the drawing board.
Yeah.
I at that time was still writing a couple projects, playing the drums, was in the studio, learning how the studio works, learning how out like just behind the scenes as much as I could. I spent a bunch of time in a back room by myself at the end of 2020. I just was in a back room for my job, and I was just back there with nothing but my thoughts. And I was like, okay, I pushed this as far as I can go. I can get better at the drums, but that doesn't mean anything. I know how to put together like an album package that I know people will enjoy, from the images to the album art to the music and tying it all together. What is the next step? And I was like, okay, I want to get into the hip hop game. I can't rap, I can't produce, I'm not into anything like that, but hip hop has saved my life. I am been more in the hip hop as an art form than I've been in any other music. So I was like, how do I get in that? I guess I got to do label work or promotion, just whatever. I just need a name behind what I'm doing. So I just basically it all just kind of the universe started throwing ideas out at me, and it said basically it was letting me know like, yo, if you promote yourself under a label, people will take you more seriously. So just as a promotion point, just do that. Even if I'll literally write an email from the same computer from the same table and get a different response if it's from a quote unquote band or if it's from me from the label. Sign the same name and everything. So I'm like, fuck it. I'm gonna go late. Yeah, it's a little tidbit. People pick that up. Like start like it doesn't matter. It's just all about how you make people perceive how you look.
Perception, yeah.
So So with that mindset, I was like, oh, how do I take what I've already established, which is a well promoted, put together album package, and push it to the next level when I do it again. So it was just like, all right, it needs to have a label behind it. I'm the only one who I feel like can control my own fulfillment. If I'm not doing it, no one is going to connect with me the way that I feel like I connect. So until the same reason why it's like a lot of the rock bands that come out on it is going to be from me, because I feel like no one's going to be coming with better ideas than I am, as vain as that sounds. So that's why I'm going to the hip hop. So I just needed to touch every genre, and I feel like that was a way to kind of neatly umbrella it without, without just over it, with formally neatly umbrella in it without, compromising and throwing myself, because I do want to keep the guy behind the drum set different from the guy running the label, from the guy doing this. It's all different people. It just I happen to have to be the one doing all of it. So it was a way to kind of separate duties and
Yeah. And how do you go from waking up one day saying you want your own label to actually making it a reality? What are the steps you took to make it a reality?
Yes. So before I get into the details, the only thing to do anything is to do it. So I just woke up and I was like, yo, this is something I want to do. What do I need to do? Boom, task list. Let me see what are the natural orders of things. So it's just like, okay, let me come up with cool names. Let me come up with, logos. Let me get the actual thing that people will see. So I just, like I said, I spent a lot of time brainstorming and just kind of accepting ideas from the universe and throwing out the bad ones. And I came up with the main thing that I wanted to do. And this kind of stemmed and a lot of it started forming after, is just why? Why am I doing it? Why? Like you said, why, why are you going to do it? If you don't have a why, what you're doing there's no fucking reason to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
There's no reason behind it. So why am I doing this? Me specifically, the reason I started doing this is because I don't know how to do anything. This is what I know how to do the best in the world. Like, this is my best thing this is my greatest ability, that if people trust me and put their faith in, like, for like my parents or my wife or my friends, like, this is my way that I feel like I can repay them, as they put in their trust in me, them giving me their knowledge, them, so this is my repayment for that. So I was like, okay, the reason I'm doing this is by no means about myself, period. Okay, as soon as you get the reason why, then you can easily act. So it's just like, why am I doing this? Oh, it has nothing to do with me. All right, how do I come up with this? Oh, what's something so I say, as soon as you get the reason why and you get the want to do it, the steps you could go, like I said, you come up with a name, you come up with a logo, you come up with the genre, you come up with your mission statement, then you just treat it as a business. But if you don't have that why, you can't even proceed from there.
Exactly. And you can apply that across the board to so many other things. You need the why, and then you need the focus and the ability to make it possible. But some people might say nowadays, everything is so easily home produced that the days of record labels are kind of dying out. It seems like a bit of a gamble to actually start a record label now. So is that something that came into your decision making?
No. No, because my decisions, obviously I take in outside influences, but my decisions I feel are very specific and thrown right into my soul and being for a reason. So when I'm like, oh, you need to do this, okay, I need to do it because it feels right to me. So in a way, but no, because I felt like, and I still feel like, and as long as I feel like, as enthused and as passionate, as genuine as I do about it, the answer is always going to be no. The answer is, I know what I'm doing is going to help what I feel pushes the world forward. So nah, I don't, and thinking, and like I was saying, going back to how I like some of these old labels and people who you don't know what they're doing until years in the future. I don't give a shit what people say right now, because timelessness has nothing to do with what someone says this exact minute. So I look at some of these people like Definitive Junks and people like that who were not successful at the time. They went quote unquote bankrupt, but now people from that label are more successful now than they were when that label was going. And everyone's just like, wait a second, this label was doing something pretty special back then. So no, because I'm thinking timelessness, not what the man next to me says this exact minute.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good attitude to have. So what's the day to day like then? Are you working on your own music? Are you searching for other artists to sign to the label? What do you do?
Sure. So obviously changes by the week, by the month, depending on who's doing what around me. I obviously being so DIY and like startup right now, I do have, a day job. So a majority of my day is out over at, the farm, doing my thing during the day. But when I have time, I make sure I set, a good bit of time every day to do my thing. Right now, currently, the hip hop artist Shaw Calhoun that I'm working with. He just released a project a month ago, so I'm in the middle of promoting that. So I'm looking for publications in my off time when I'm just like chilling, sending out emails, trying to connect with whoever I can to get, plays or write ups or interviews or whatever for him. And we're also in the middle of planning our next, I guess, his next adventure, his next things. We're going to combine in December, and he's gonna stay up at my house. He's from, a good 3 hours away. He's gonna stay up at my house. We're gonna go to the studio for the weekend, and we're gonna try to record 2 EPs worth of music. So I connect with him. I connect with him I text him every day, and we talk on the phone every weekend. So me and him are building creatively, and while he's writing the next stuff, I'm promoting the last stuff. And then I'm also a project that I played the drums on for Advocat, is the name of the group. Right now, we're waiting for masters to come back, and I'm going to have a call later today with Allison and the other guy in it, Kyle, and we're going to start talking about the first drafts of the artwork. What do we like? And then we got new pictures back, so we're going to pick what pictures go with it and kind of complete that package. So right now I'm completing an album package that I played the drums on, and I'm also promoting and helping plan for the next stuff for this hip hop artist. And when there's literally nothing to do, it's just collecting publications. Like when I literally have none of that to do and I have a day where there's nothing, I'm just still moving my hands busy, chipping away, finding publications, just hitting up someone who is useful, just always doing something when you set the time for it. So little busy time right now, but just kind of always chipping away from something. There's always something to promote. I'm on the ground level with everything. So like I said, if there's nothing to promote, if there's nothing to create musically, the brand can always be worked on. I got the skateboard decks. I can always design stickers or try to find some new merch outlet. Or there's the day-to-day looks like just you say what is the best use of my time right now, and you list whatever it is, and whatever sticks out as the most important, you just fucking do.
Yeah, yeah. It's I don't know how you find the time to do anything else. You sound like a very busy man at the moment.
I mean, it's fun because I like to say, or I feel like I live 3 months in the future. So I already planned out what is going to be done in 3 months. Like I know 3 months from right now, I know where we should be at. So it's just basically how do I chip away to get to that. So it's already, the hard part's already figured out. When the creativity is already done, that is the hardest part. Getting struck with creativity out of nowhere, hard work. Everything else is fucking light work. Like I could send emails. Like, oh fuck it, I'll wait and I'll stay up an extra hour and send emails. Like that is light work. I'll fucking talk to someone on the phone for a half hour. Like fuck, that's light work. Like so once the creativity's out there, like everything else is fucking light work.
Yeah, everything just flows once the hard part is done.
You just kind of know what you need to chip away to go there. So it's just like, all right, there's this. All right, I need to do this. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you just set your target and work out how you're going to get to it. So say you are you actively looking for more artists to sign up at the moment, or are you just focusing on the way it is?
Yeah. So I'm always, I always got my ear to the street. I'm always trying to hear new music. But I also I don't think it is fair to take more on until I maximize what I feel like I can do with with these people. So I'm still at a new stage with working with, Shaw, and I'm still at a new stage of kind of promoting my own music with
Mhm.
myself. So until I feel like I maximize my efforts in that way, I don't want to take more on, because then I feel like someone will suffer. So I always got my ear to the street. I always got, I got a couple people in mind that like I would love to hit up and be like, yo, make a 5-song project. Let me hear it. Guess what? I'm putting it out. I'm promoting it. We're working together. But I don't want to take away from who I do have. So I'm not trying to add more because I can't add more workload, but I'm
Mhm.
always listening to who's good and who's not, and trying to find who, just because I'm a fan of music, so I'm always listening, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it would be fair because I don't have enough space at this point too.
Yeah, you don't want to spread yourself too thin either, where as you said, you can't focus on everyone then if you have a couple of more. And
Mhm.
I think if you were to do that, the business would start to suffer. You need to be able to completely look after the artists you have, make sure they feel like the most important people in the world before you start extending. So you definitely have the right plan at the moment anyway. And when it comes to gigs then, do you have any time at all to play much?
Oh man, I mean, it's it's tough because I mean, yes and no. I always have time to play. Like, I mean, I love that shit. Like, every time I try to go into this weird thought process I'm about to break into, I just always snap back. I'm like, yo, nothing's better than fucking playing a show. You know what I mean? You go in, you set up your fucking drum set, you play, you just put your fucking head down, you jam the fuck out, you deconstruct your own drum set, and you just watch other people play. Like, yeah, dude, nothing's better than it. Um, but more and more, I've been on the mindset of I want to create more art more than anything. So I have the time to play, but the way I fashion it to like the people that I play with, or whatever, it's when you practice, you can only practice. In my mind, you can practice for a show or you practice to write new music. It's hard to do both. I have the mindset right now, at least, where I want to spend 100% of my time doing nothing but writing new music. So I have the time, but I have this weird like complex where I feel like I don't want to play because I would rather spend all my time making new music, because I feel, at least right now, what will stick in the long term will be an album. An album is out forever. You put the music out, it is out till the end of time. You shift vibrations in the universe when you do that. You play a show, it doesn't do that as much as in a long term. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people play 200 shows a year, no one will remember. But if you put out a good album, people in fucking 30 years are like, holy shit, that shit, you know what I mean? So because of that, I've been on a weird mindset. But coming up, I think me and Advocat are gonna play some shows soon. I played one recently. This gentleman, Skate Wagon is the name of the brand. He puts together like skateboard events, like skate contests and stuff like that in the area. And he's a good friend of mine. Zach, he's a good friend of mine, and he'll have me come and like sponsor, and like bands will play. So he always has an opening slot for me when like these skate contests go on. But I haven't really looked to find gigs yet, but gigs are everywhere. Fucking easy to find, at least over in here. Like, everyone's so eager to get back out and do the fun stuff that
Yeah,
so I
everyone
haven't
wants to
played any.
party.
Yeah, I haven't played any recently, but probably the turn of the year I might get a couple in the first quarter of the year.
Yeah, yeah. And I always ask, what can people expect when they come to see one of your live shows?
So I personally, I can only speak for myself, because with being in a couple different bands, there's like I haven't been able to play one band. We played one show, one band we haven't played for a while. This one band that we're going to be playing, we actually haven't played a show, but we've played. It was a guy I was in high school band, like a band together. So it was like we played together. So, but personally, I like to visually, I take a lot from Keith Moon.
Right.
So you see me behind the drum set, I'm just head down and arms going fucking crazy, like, and I'm talking Keith Moon when he's like kicking shit over, putting the dynamite in his drum, like the crazy Keith Moon. So like the end of every show, I'm like stabbing snare drums, like my shit will end with like sticks through it, like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm talking Keith Moon when he's just head down, like looking like he's an octopus, like that type of shit.
That's it's important. It sounds like a hell of a lot of fun, but it's also important to have the entertainment factor, and craziness does give way to entertainment, you know?
I mean, I grew up. I've like you talk about what is a rock star. Like in my mind, when you talk rock band or rock star, it's someone who like fucking trashes their instrument at the end of a show. Like I'm talking like Nirvana, circa 1990, when they're like sword fighting with the bass and guitar. Like I'm talking shit like that. Like that shit gets me going. So
Yeah. Jeez. I'd actually love to know how long it's been since a band has actually even attempted anything like that. I'd say it's about 15 years. No way would there'd be too many lawsuits nowadays,
people don't let loose as crazy on stage. They do it, but there's no like, yeah, the newer, honestly, it's crazy, but like hip hop is more like if you watch some hip hop audiences and hip hop shows of recent, they've adopted more of like the rock mindset than the rock bands have. So it is interesting. Yeah. I mean, it's just about, it's the young, I don't think young kids who do traditionally run around in circles and go crazy, they're going to more hip hop shows now than the rock band. So it's just like the people who would go crazy, like them old grunge bands and whatever. Like they just got old people at the shows. So
True, yeah, true. So can we speak a bit about homemade ski mask for a bit? Can you tell me the history of that?
yeah, I would love to get into homemade ski mask. That is a 2-piece, myself on the drums and a really, really, really good human being, Mike Tennant. He played guitar. That's someone that I've known for a while. He's, been a friend, been an acquaintance, just someone who's been just in and out or, hanging out throughout my life. And then there was a time where we just got together and we just connected on a level where it's like, okay, guess what? We're going to make a project that we both feel like pushes what people think we can do. And it was the first time we both, like, he thought that, and I was like, all right, dude, I'm on you. Like, let's fucking do it. Like, let's do it. Cause I know based on his influences, and I knew what he was going to bring, like, energy wise and vibration wise, I knew I wanted to make something with him. Just like knew it. I was like, yo, as soon as I make something with him, it's an underground classic. Like I know it. So when the pandemic or whatever, we had the time, and he literally came up once a week, probably like 30 weekends and 30 weeks in a row or something crazy. Like he literally, like, it was all, we just focused. It was like, I focused so hard. I know he was focused so hard. Like you could just tell, like we just were locked in. And yeah, I can't even express how proud I am of that album because of what it represents to me. It's just a lot of these albums I make with people that I've known longer than I've made music. So it's just like, this represents a bond now that me and a very special human that I've known for a while will always have. So the album itself is just, I mean, you could tell, like we're just energetic people. I fashion it as like good energy in the form of like aggression. I like good, like, what I mean? Like it is aggressive, it is in your face, it is energetic, but it is only there to bring positive vibes, good ideas. Like the intentions of what words are being said are all for what we feel are good, pure intentions. So it's like, oh, it's aggressive, it's this, but it is one of the most positive vibe out albums that I feel like I've helped make. And yeah, we're recorded at the Kaleidoscope in Lancaster. Shout out those guys. And yeah, I'm super proud of that. The homemade ski mask and the name itself. That's one of like, I fucking love that band name. Like, yeah, everything about it is like, no, the album art, like, yeah, like I'm super proud of that project.
Yeah, you should be. It seems like everything just fell together properly. Like as you said, the name, it just rolls off your tongue. The music, I love the rawness and the proper, like it's proper punky rock sort of, you really just like, it's like a throwback to proper rock from decades ago, and punk. It's just was it hard to come up with the idea of what you wanted it to be?
I mean, musically, the way we created it musically, like I said, we spent a lot of time together physically, like a lot of time together physically. Like he would come up, we would hang out and chill before we practice and just talk, brainstorm. We would come up and like we spent a lot of time together physically on all levels. So musically, we would just jam. We'd come up and just have these like 2 hour jam sessions, 3 hour jam sessions, and like just you jam. We both enjoy. We get into it, and when it clicked, we just like be like, stop. That was cool. Like what's that? Da, da, da. And then like we would just like construct like because as you tell, like the song structures are kind of unique. So it was just like a lot of like once we figured out what the inspirations were and kind of how we needed to approach it, actually kind of fell together pretty easy. We took the inspirations, I can get into those, but like I said, we just spent a lot of time together. That one was a case of if you just spend a lot of time together where you're head down working, shit will happen. Like that was the definition and the result of just head down, hard work.
Yeah, yeah. And what's the next step with Homemade Ski Mask? Is there any plans set in stone for you guys?
Yeah, Homemade Ski Mask right now, with where we're both at in life, or he just got into he just moved into a better living situation. So he gets a pass for like, he's moving and so yeah, we're gonna begin writing here soon, I would hope. He stacks riffs and he'll play his guitar and like come up with cool shit. And usually he'll play on his own. He'll come to practice. He'll say, here's a couple things I thought of, and I'll just be like, oh, this is cool, this isn't. So I like to do 4 or 5 song releases at a time. So when you do hear from us, it'll be another 4 or 5 song project. But we're still at the very beginning stages of that, unfortunately. Yeah. But I know we have the foundation to come at another good step in the right direction. And I know our inspirations are a little different from that time, so it's going to be a different sound. It's going to be a forward thinking sound, and it won't sound the exact same. So, but we're at the beginning stages of all that.
Good. I look forward to hearing the next thing you put out anyway when you get to it. But what was the reception like when you released the last record? It must have went down very well, did it?
Yeah. So when we dropped the Homemade Ski Mask, right now I'm in a stage where I know the value of winning over your backyard, and I respect like that, where it's like, oh, you start with your city and you build out. I'm starting even more than that, where it's like I need to come up with an album that some of my friends find perfect. Like right. I know there's like when I start making an album, I change stylistically and I pull different styles to begin an album. So I know it's not going to please everyone. I know as soon as I start an album, these set 5 people or whatever are going to be the ones that I'm the most excited to show it to. Yeah. So the reception to me was it was a step up. I had friends who were just like, yo, best thing you put out yet, or yo, you're clearly stepping up, or yo, good job, or yo, I didn't even know you guys were working together. This is crazy. So yeah, a lot of my parents recognized some of the work I put in, and a lot of the friends that I wanted to recognize the work, and that is basically the reception that I took in. We sent it out, obviously, like the blogs liked it, and the radio playlist liked it. It is kind of the time, it has that like idol sound, and it has that like, that type of sound, and that's kind of big now. So it kind of fits in with what like underground radio's playing. But honestly, it was cool because there's just some parts in the album that I was excited for, like my mom or like my wife's parents or like this, my one coworker, just like people who aren't necessarily in this music to see. And I got some response from people who don't listen to this genre. And that is what is huge to me, is when someone who doesn't even come close to listening to that is like, oh, I like that you added this, or I respect that you approached it this way, or I like your mind when you did that. So
yeah, it must have all affirmed that you're on the right track, that you're doing the right thing.
It is. Like I said, it's one thing for a random playlist who's supposed to like rock music to be like, oh, this is cool. Like, yeah, obviously you like it or it fits in. But when someone who is just like a public speaker who talks about something like this or something like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, hey, I like that. Like that's a whole different level.
Yeah, yeah. When you're able to convert them over to your genre, it really
Or
means
when
more.
it like lines up, or it just proves that music is energy. Music isn't just like as physical as hearing something. Like someone can take something so raw, and even though they never existed in that world, they can feel the energy because they
Yeah,
understand the energy you're putting out because they also put out that energy. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. We'll get to the last couple of questions now. Nobody, I'm afraid, gets off the podcast without answering these questions. So,
Okay. Word.
if you could see any performer from history, dead or alive, for one night only in concert, who would it be?
So I'm gonna answer somebody, and I'm gonna say like a year or something like that. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like I'll say this person in this year, because obviously, like seeing someone from the fucking 50s right now, like no, but like you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So, oh shit, because I have seen some people that I'm just like, all right, word. I'm gonna say there's a this is I don't know this is what popped in my head. Because I've seen footage on it on YouTube and shit. And it just like was like, yo, imagine being there.
Hmm.
The Bad Brains performance at CBGB.
Right. Right.
Yes, that shit just like ah, just like I don't know, just oh my god,
You
like
just want to be there.
oh my god, dude. From yeah. So there's obviously a lot, but like I can think of that footage. I remember watching some of it. And it's just like, yo, Bad
Hmm.
Brains at CBGB. I think it was 1982 or something like
Jeez.
that. Like,
Yeah. Jeez, it would have been a good night anyway. The next one, if you could be locked in a room with any performer from history for 24 hours, who would it be?
I'm gonna say, and the reason I'm saying anybody is because what we are doing is we're just having a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I want to be in a room with this person because I feel like they're gonna enhance the party, or you know what I mean? Like if it's like, yo, I want to invite like if it was like I want to party with someone for 24 hours, we're going like 2 Chainz or something like that.
Mm,
But we're going, who would I want to have a 24-hour conversation with is the way I'm thinking it. And
that'd be a long conversation.
yeah. Um Probably Doom.
Really?
MF Doom.
Ah, why?
Rest in peace, MF Doom. I just want to know. I mean, his history is like intense and interesting, but I just want to know the mindset from 2001 to 2004.
Really?
That would be my question, and then I would just let him talk for 24 hours.
Hmm. Just soak it all up.
Just yeah, because that yeah, yeah, maybe Doom, LP, maybe.
Hmm.
If we're gonna go in the rock world, I mean, gotta go Neil from Rush, even though he'd be fucking weirded out by that. Um, yeah. Basically, it'd be a 24-hour conversation.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You definitely learn some interesting stuff, though. You could apply it to your business and your business model and your music. Be
Mm-hmm.
very beneficial if it could happen. The next one, if there was a song that could appear on the soundtrack to your life, what would it be?
So, would it be like the opening credits to my biography, or what?
Yeah, yeah, the opening credits or the closing credits. Something
Okay,
that'd
I'm going
sum
to
up
say
your
the
life.
opening credits because the closing credits are too. That's like too intense to think about. It's like, yo, what would I want my final song to be? Like, I don't even want to think about that right now. So the opening credits, actually, the way that I've always ever thought about this question is because I skateboard and I'm big like into the skate culture and all that. Is if I were to make a skate video part, what would my song be?
Hmm.
And the way that I always answer that, obviously, it's always flip floppy and stuff. Um, but I would probably make my skate video part. It would be a song, I believe it's called "He Comes" or something like that by De La Soul featuring Ghostface Killer.
Ah,
That'd be my skate video part, at least right this very second.
cool, cool. Be a cool one to pick, all right. And is there any messages you have for the fans? Any message you want to leave them with before I let you go?
Yeah, just always look for pure intentions. If you question anyone's intentions or if you think they're cloudy, don't be afraid to open dialogue. Don't be afraid to have conversations. Don't be intimidated to just sit down and talk to somebody face to face. If you are afraid to, or if you feel like you can talk to someone about good stuff, it should be just as unintimidated to talk to someone about something that you view negative, something that you feel is constructive criticism, or accepting it. So always be open to hearing somebody's side of the story before shutting it down.
Brilliant piece of advice there. Brilliant piece of actual life advice. You know, normally when I ask people are like, oh, listen to my music or come to my shows or, you know, get back to going to concerts after the pandemic. But I like that it's an actual piece of life advice people can apply to their lives. Well, one of your songs are going to play us out. Would you like to tell us a bit about it?
Yeah, okay. I mean, again, what more appropriate song to play out than the outro?
This motherfucker think I'm dead, but he don't know I am the human tornado. I went to my dentist this morning, he was selling gold. I said, put me one here, and one here, and that costs money. You understand that?
Yeah. Favorite colors is green and purple. What? Greens for the paper. Purples for the bud, like I brought it with the Lakers. For the movers, for the shakers. Okay. Either it's custom or it's tailored. Tip the sailor, Venezuela, margaritas for a player. Neck and wrist went through a glacier. Show the savior. Dark school, 6 flows was the major. Packed in, I should run for mayor. That boy cold, hope he layered. Axe Roma in the Himalaya. Dodging the haters with these aviators. Shine bright like easy activator. All alphas, nigga, no beta. Dane flow, I'm a trailblazer. We out.
You my main man. You my main man. You my main man.
Hello everyone, I am Matthew Thomas, the spirit of Super Cool Radio, and if you're looking for a great podcast that features the best independent and up-and-coming bands and artists, then check out my podcast, Super Cool Radio. Each week I deliver fun interviews, and every Friday I spin some killer music. You might not know some of these bands that I feature, but I guarantee you will love them. Check out Super Cool Radio on YouTube, Rumble, Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, or the streaming platform of your choice. Tune in and rock out.
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, make sure to rate and review us on iTunes. You can also now rate us on Spotify. You can find and follow us on all social media. Just search for Concerts That Made Us Podcast. Be sure to check out our website at www.concertsthatmadeus.com. And if you would like to support the show, you can sign up at patreon.com/Concerts That Made Us. It costs less than what you'd pay for a coffee. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show is over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here.